Let's not have my knees dying on me. Quick mic check. Quick mic check. It kept locking on me. Okay, so this is going to be my third try for experiment part 3. We're going to come up with another story, but this time, instead of focusing on the time, I'm going to focus on the actual story and implementing a few changes that I indicated yesterday. Primarily being the falling gold, falling snow, and so forth, and the pairing of characters versus, or the grouping of characters versus just having each one do an action. So let's see how that goes. Again, I'm going to focus on story this time because I want at least one very memorable story to show you guys, and this is going to be crafted with a lot more care versus rushing like crazy. And this will probably be the one in the final cut. So let's go ahead and try it. Alright, so let's go ahead and shuffle these cards real quick. Make sure they're shuffled decently before we begin this challenge. Just cut the deck in half and let's go ahead and do this. So I'm also going to reenact what's happening to the cards, but we'll start from the top, of course. So this is the Hanged Queen. Let's see if we can pair her up with any other characters. And we got Seven of Spades, which is Samuel Tarly. Let's see if we can pair any more up. Alright, this is Raining Gold right here. There's no good pairings right now, and we're already at 3 cards, and this is an event, so let's start with Celise being hanged at a tree. So this is like near some woods or forest. And then Samuel Tarly walks up and sees it, and he has a horrified look in his face. But something weird happens. All of a sudden, a lot of gold just starts falling out of the sky while Samuel's looking at her. 7 of Hearts. That would be Dario, Arya, and Joffrey, huh? Okay. This is an interesting combo. So I like doing the whole Arya face swapping thing, so I think we're gonna have the gold, one really large piece of gold fall out of the sky with, like, you know, smaller ones. And then Dario is going to be on top of one, and he's falling with it. Then right after he falls and hits the ground, he reveals himself to be Arya instead, and then stabs Joffrey behind the back. Let's just say Joffrey... Let's just say Joffrey was hiding behind a tree, laughing at Samuel and Celise. So that's how Joffrey is. He laughs at people's pains. So, and Arya killing Joffrey seems like something I would have liked to have seen in the show. So this sounds good to me. So far we have Queen Celise being hanged, Samuel going up with a horrified face, all of a sudden whole bunch of gold bars fall out of the sky. And on top of one huge gold bar is Dario Naharis. Once he lands, he rolls out of it, then reveals his face to be... Let's say once he lands, he does a roll out of it, closer to the tree where Joffrey's hiding behind. But we can't think of Joffrey yet. We shouldn't see him in the Mine movie yet, because we need Arya to show her face first. So Dario rolls, removes his face, it's Arya. Then Joffrey is there and he's surprised and then gets stabbed by Arya. Three of Clovers, that is Renly. 10 of Clovers, that's Robert. Very convenient. 6 of Hearts, that is Viserys. Okay, we have to connect Renly and King Joffrey right now. I got it. So Renly will be screaming, "The bastard king is dead." Like he sees it from, let's say he's somewhere on the field, and then he sees Arya stabbing Joffrey. And then we have Renly basically happy about it, and he screams for joy and says, "The bastard king is dead, Robert." Let's just say Robert's dead as well, so it's not really avenged. In some ways it is avenged, so sure. Let's just tell him, let's just have Renly say, "Robert, I avenged you." And then Robert is gonna be buried in the ground under Renly. Let's just say his grave is right there, and Robert says, let's just say he says, "Good, now pour me some more wine." It sounds like something Robert would say. And then let's have Viserys step up and actually do that. Let's have Viserys with a cup of wine, and he's gonna pour it in Robert's grave, sort of as a diss. King John. Let's say in this alternate universe that Viserys and John knows his lineage and Viserys is still alive, so John is with Viserys. And he's like, "No, man, why are you doing that?" So he slaps Viserys' hand. Khal Drogo, huh? Alright, we're gonna have these three pair up. So it's gonna be Viserys, King John, and Khal Drogo. And they're all gonna just be chilling at Robert's grave. Viserys pours the wine, King John slaps him, and then Khal Drogo just makes a grunt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we have 2 of diamonds. That is Missandei. Let's see who the next one is. Oh, sorry. 2 of diamonds is not Missandei. Two of diamonds is a crossbow. Two of hearts is Missandei. Three of hearts is Grey Worm. So now with Grey Worm, so crossbow and Grey Worm, it's such a weird place to have them. I need to see who's next. Ghost? This is not a good combo. Alright, I got it. So Khal Drogo grunts. He's holding a crossbow, and he gives it to Grey Worm. And Grey Worm jumps onto Ghost and rides Ghost to four of diamonds is Tommen. Okay, so Grey Worm's gonna ride Ghost, and then Ghost, while they're riding, Tommen's all of a sudden gonna drop out of the sky, and then also go on top of Ghost and ask, where are we going? And then Eight of Hearts. That's Jorah. Let's have him ride up to a Jorah who's just standing there in the field. Alright, it's the Burning Witch. Okay, Jorah is gonna be holding the corpse of the Burning Witch because she took Daenerys' baby away from her. Let's make that more visually interesting. Let's have the Burning Witch actually be burning. So Jorah's just going to be holding like a burning body. And then that would be Bran and this is Varys. Bran, Varys, and a burning stag. Alright, I think let's end the story here, the first story. Let's see how many cards that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's such a weird number to end it on. But I think this is memorable enough to end it on, so I think let's do that. So let's play out the story just real quick. I'm gonna do this from memory right now because I think the story is good enough. Hanged Queen. And then all of a sudden Samwell Tarly walks up and is surprised. Cards are gonna fall. Gold all of a sudden comes out of the sky. And on top of that gold, on top of that gold, we see Daario Naharis. He rolls. And then it's Arya instead. Okay, I have to remember this order. I'm kind of dropping cards everywhere. We see Arya instead. And then we see Joffrey hiding behind some tree. Arya kills him. Then Renly sees it from a distance and is like, "We avenged you, King Robert," who is in his grave asking for more wine, and then Viserys pours it for him as a diss. And then Jon slaps his hand. And then Khal Drogo's there and makes a grunt. Gives a crossbow to Grey Worm. Grey Worm takes it. And then Grey Worm... Hey. Stop scratching the cat. And then Grey Worm gets onto Ghost. So Grey Worm's on Ghost with a crossbow. And then all of a sudden, a Tommen falls out of the sky and gets onto Ghost as well. And then they get stopped by a Jorah. And Jorah has the Burning Witch in his hands. Uh-oh. Let's make sure this is in the right order. Okay. So far, so good. I only had to go through the story once to fully memorize it, which was something I was trying to achieve, so that's good. But we only got 17 cards and it's already been 15 minutes. So it's almost like a minute per card. So let's try to speed things up just a little bit. Six of Spades. Six of Spades. Once again, that's Bran, Varys, and a Burning Stag. Okay, this is gonna be weird, but let's have Bran and Varys on a Burning Stag. I guess we can connect it. We can try to make it one big story. So Bran and Varys come in riding on a Burning Stag. So in our Mind movie, we're gonna see Bran with his emotionless face, and then behind him is Varys. And then they're on top of a Burning Stag, riding to the Burning Witch. Then we have Jaime. And this is Marjorie. And Ramsay. Three characters that have nothing to do with each other. Okay. I mean, Jaime interacts or sees Marjorie and stuff. They just don't really interact that much. If they're riding in on a Burning Stag, we have to relate the Burning Stag to Jaime somehow. Okay, let's just make this very easy. Let's have the Burning Stag just run into Jaime. And then Marjorie, and then Ramsay. That is kind of a cop-out of a story, or a cop-out part of the story, but it's easier to remember that than anything else, in my opinion. I just have to remember a Burning Stag that is being ridden by Bran and Varys, ramming into first Jaime, and then they collect Marjorie, and then Ramsay. That's probably the fastest way to go about this. All right, the Hound. Let's say from there, it also rams into the Hound, but the Hound completely stops it. Then we got Sir Barristan. Whenever I think Sir Barristan, I think of a helicopter now. Our first story also incorporated that, so let's go ahead and have him in a helicopter. Apparently, with Tywin. And Brienne, huh? Let's just go with that. All three are gonna be in a helicopter. In some ways, Sir Barristan is almost like an event card now. Like whenever he appears, a helicopter is gonna appear. So we have to connect it to the Hound somehow. So right after the Hound stops the Burning Stag, who has rammed into first Jaime, then Margaery, then Ramsay. Let's say all of this happened near like a cliff, and then the helicopter all of a sudden appears, and you see Sir Barristan there, about to at the edge, right next to Tywin and Brienne. It's a weird combo. Doesn't make too much sense. I mean, Tywin is reasonable, but Brienne, I don't know why she would be there, but let's just have them there. And this is a Drogon. Lovely. Okay. After we see all three of them, Drogon is going to blow fire in the helicopter. So he's going to fly by and blow fire at them. Let's see who's riding on Drogon. We're going to have... Apparently we're going to have Shae riding on Drogon. With Cersei, okay. And Tyrion, alright. We have our 3 dragon riders, guys. So they are apparently Shae, Queen Cersei, and Tyrion. So all 3 of them are gonna be riding on Drogon, and let's just have them like back to back. So we see Shae first, then we see Queen Cersei, then we see Tyrion. Alright, you know what? Let's just make this weirder. Behind Tyrion is the Mountain. He's also riding on Drogon, because Drogon's huge at this point. And let's have Daenerys standing in the back of the Mountain. Let's have Daenerys standing on top of the Mountain. And somehow she can have her feet planted, and she's totally fine. Alright, at this point we need to... There's literally 5 people on Drogon. Let's see if I can remember. It's Shae, Queen Cersei, Tyrion, then the Mountain, and then Daenerys is standing on top. Almost like a Yu-Gi-Oh duel. And then we have Davos. Where is this story going? Okay. Let's see, Davos, Tormund, 8 of Diamonds. This is Bronn. Davos, Tormund, and Bronn, okay. Alright, we're gonna have Drogon being attacked by these 3. So Davos is gonna tell Tormund, or let's just have Davos be seen in the scene. So like after we see Daenerys, it's sort of like the mind movie moves to these 3 on the ground, right under them, and then we see Davos first, and let's just have him ask, "Do you really want to do this?" And then Tormund says, "Yeah, we don't really have a choice," and then looks at Bronn, and Bronn is gonna say bloody Lannisters and then fire a scorpion at Drogon. So after Bronn fires the bolt, let's have... Oh great, this is Qyburn. This is lovely, because both of them are sort of like scorpion related to me. So let's have Qyburn also be right next to Bronn and smiling because he loves his creation. And Two of Hearts is Missandei. For some reason I used her in the second story as this like god figure that could use the force and stuff, so let's have her do that again. She's gonna fly down and use the force, push aside that bolt so that it doesn't hit Drogon. Awesome. Raining fire. So instead, let's have her use a force with fire. So fire comes out of her hand. So we see Missandei floating in the air, and then all of a sudden she blasts that boat with fire. Three is Iron Throne. So at this point they're in the skies. Let's say after she blasts that bolt just hits into the Iron Throne. The Iron Throne is in the middle of a field. Who's sitting on the Iron Throne? Five of Clovers, that's an event, that's a storm, okay. I guess nobody's sitting on the Iron Throne then. So a boat goes into the Iron Throne, and all of a sudden a storm appears from the Iron Throne. And alright, this is Ned Stark. Ned Stark appears out of the storm, sitting on the Iron Throne now. And Littlefinger, Ed, and this one's Snow, okay. We're gonna have Littlefinger and Ed to Ned's left and right. And then right after that storm appears, it starts snowing. A big storm, a snowstorm comes. Sansa. Sansa, Gendry, and Stannis. So Sansa's gonna be... So in the storm, we sort of see Sansa bleeding in saying, "I think I see my father." And then Gendry is going to accompany her with King Stannis. So those three are just going to be walking together. And then we have Jaqen. Okay, let's just do a face swapping thing too. Let's have Stannis remove his face and he's actually Jaqen. And then we have Two of Clovers, which is Shadow Stannis. That would have been very nice to have had that together. But that's okay, let's do this. Let's have Stannis remove his face, it's Jaqen, and all of a sudden Shadow Stannis appears next to him. Like it sort of like warps out of him. And then Four of Clovers. Let's try to end this in an interesting way. Four of Clovers is Shireen. Oh man, this is gonna be difficult. Because right now my first imagination just comes to Shadow Stannis. turns into Shireen, which ends up turning into a lion. Yeah. Okay, this story wasn't as interesting as I thought it would be, unfortunately. But it's been 29 minutes since we came up with the story. Let's see if we can recite it from memory. I only went through it once. I have not gone through it again. But let's go ahead and try this. I'm literally just gonna try this once, so the cards are gonna fly around. If I need to, I'll put it back in order, but it's fine. Okay, we have Queen Celise, hanged. I'll try to really get more of a image for this versus worrying about anything else. And my association is good enough for me to just say the character at this point. Saying the card is just going to take extra time. So Queen Celise, hanged. Samwell Tarly looks in shock. All of a sudden, a whole bunch of gold falls out of the sky. And then on that gold is Daario Naharis. The gold falls. He rolls. And then he sees... Well, first he removes his face, and now it's Arya instead. And then he sees Joffrey hiding behind this tree. Kills Joffrey. And then Renly is telling Robert Baratheon, "We've avenged you, Robert." And Robert is in the grave. So Robert's in the grave. And then Viserys pours him some wine because Robert says, "Good, now pour me some wine." And then Viserys pours him some wine as a diss. And then Jon slaps his hand away, says, "Don't do that. That's disrespectful." And Khal Drogo is next to him, grunts. We see a crossbow in his hand. Gives the crossbow to Grey Worm. Grey Worm gets onto Ghost, and then they ride. All of a sudden, Tommen falls out of the sky, and now they're riding together. And then they are stopped by a Jorah, who has now avenged the Queen's son by slaying the Burning Witch. She's on fire. And all of a sudden, we see Bran and then Varys riding on a burning stag, coming in. And then they ram into first Jaime, then Marjorie, then Ramsay, and then the Hound completely stops them. All of a sudden, we see a helicopter come out of nowhere with Sir Barristan, Tywin, and Brienne. Okay. From here, I believe we see Drogon blow up the helicopter. Boom. Sorry, guys. You know, they're spinning. We don't know what happens to them. Drogon just blew fire at the tail of the helicopter, so they're spinning. They might survive. And then on top of Drogon, we see Shae, Queen Cersei, then Tyrion, and then the mountain. And then we see Daenerys standing on top of the mountain. And then we see, we move the Mind Movie to, they're in the skies. And then we move the Mind Movie to the ground, where Davos is saying, "Do we really have to do this?" And he says it to Tormund, and Tormund says, "Do we have a choice?" And then Tormund looks at Bronn. Bronn says, you know, something about Lannisters, and then shoots them with a scorpion. Qyburn looks in approval. He's happy about that. But then, all of a sudden, after they shoot the scorpion, Missandei appears out of nowhere. She's floating, uses the Force, with some fire. So she casts like a firestorm, and then that knocks the bolt into the Iron Throne. Boom. Here we have the Iron Throne. And then we have a storm appear. So that would be 5 of clubs. A storm appears, and out of the storm we see Ned Stark. He's now sitting on the Iron Throne. And then beside him are Littlefinger. It's Littlefinger. Oh crap. Ah, got it. Ed. Littlefinger, and Ed right there next to him. And then a snowstorm all of a sudden appears. So it begins snowing. And then we have Sansa walking with her 2 escorts, Gendry and King Stannis. And she says, "Hey, I see my father." And then Stannis removes his face. He's actually Jaqen. And then all of a sudden a Shadow Stannis appears next to him. And Shadow Stannis morphs into Shireen, who then morphs into a lion. Boom. First try. No mistakes. So of course this has to do with my association as well. As long as I have my association down, every card should have been like, you know, I could easily say that 7 of Hearts is Daario, for instance. So I only named the characters, but because we did experiment part 2, which is the association, the characters are basically the same as the card if I have instantaneous recall, which, you know, it takes me an average of about 4 to 5 seconds to name the card, which is fine. But that was definitely shorter than before, I think, a little bit shorter. We came up with a much more memorable story, at least for me. And it was one complete story too. I mean, there wasn't really much to it other than a whole bunch of people together doing stuff, but I guess that makes it a lot easier if you have like characters grouped up, because you sort of just see the characters next to each other, and as long as you visualize it, it's good enough. So 3rd time, I think I'm happy with that. The story wasn't as great as it could have been. I definitely could have made it wackier. Definitely could have made it more interesting, but you know, it worked for me. I managed to just go through the story once. I created the story once, and then I went through the cards. Well, actually, I made the first part of the story with the 17 cards, recalled it, and then I did the rest, and then I recalled the whole thing after that without like refreshing myself on what the story was. So if I were to guess, this is also what Kevin does. Like, he creates a memorable enough story only once, and then from there he's memorized the full thing. And I think that that's gonna be it for this experiment. Maybe in the future, if this video gets a lot of views, I can try to get this under under 20 minutes. I'll have to have instantaneous recall and stuff, but you know, for now it's not exactly worth the time to practice this constantly. So this is gonna have to be it. It was fun doing this, definitely. It's really stretching your creative muscles and your focus as well. And it's a fun challenge to do, just to try out, just to have fun with it. But it does take a good amount of time. In all, I'd say, since I tried this 3 times, each of them ended up being around, I'd say 40 minutes. So yeah, you might spend 2 hours on this experiment 3 part, and then more hours for experiment 2, and also a couple hours for experiment 1. So I think if you give yourself a week and try this out, you can definitely do it. That's pretty much what I did. I started this project about a week ago, and this was the result of it. It was fun, but I think it's time to move on. Oh, I just kneeled for 40 minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice doing the Mind Movie, the Journey method for memorizing the order of cards. We'll just do it for House Stark for now. And I'm gonna shuffle these. From there, we'll lay out some cards from top to bottom, left to right. So this will be the order. We're gonna start at the top. So we'll place it here. And then that'll be the next card. And then you guys get the idea. I just have to remember to restack them in this order, otherwise things will get kind of weird. Let's room 1 here. Let's try to fit all 13 cards as best as possible. I know I'm stacked for 12 right now, so we'll have the last card right here. Okay, so let's start at number 1, the top card. This is 9, which is the smartest, Peter Baelish, Littlefinger. And then we have Arya. Well, that's easy. We'll just have Littlefinger chillin', and then Arya comes up and slices his throat, just like in the Game of Thrones show. And right here we have Brienne. Let's have Brienne look at Arya and have a very like proud face and nod to her, saying, you know, I approve. And then we got Ghost. You know, Ghost doesn't even show up in season 8 that much. It's kind of disappointing. But let's have... It's best to connect these two cards next to each other. So I'm gonna have Ghost sort of do that thing that cats do, but you know, dogs do it sometimes too. So like Ghost would just go up to Brienne and sort of ask to be pet. So we'll have Brienne pet Ghost. And now we're at Bran. Let's have... I'm sort of imagining all of this in Winterfell, just because it seems like it could happen in Winterfell. Like, this doesn't seem like an unlikely event so far, which is actually not a good thing, because when we're doing this memorization technique, it should be like some crazy stuff happening. But this is pretty tamed. It's my first practice in doing this, so let's see how it goes. But let's have Bran just sitting there staring at Ghost being pet by Brienne, because that's what Bran does. He just stares. And then number 4 is Eddard Stark. Okay, number 4 is Eddard Stark, and what I see here, Bran has to connect. Okay, I got this. So Bran isn't just staring at Ghost. Instead, right after Bran stares at Ghost, he goes into his three-eyed raven. He goes into his three-eyed raven thingy, and then gets all white eyes. Then he goes back and sees his father, Ned Stark. This is... So Bran has a vision and sees his dad being killed. His head is being chopped off once again. Spoilers, by the way. Number 3 is Dolorous Edd. Now this is going to be interesting, because now we're going to break from likely events to unlikely events. So let's say right when Eddard Stark's head is about to be cut, we have Dolorous Edd swoop in with his sword, final Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, and he saves his life. He went back in time to save Eddard Stark and blocks the sword, Number 7, luckiest character is Samwell Tarly. The crowd is very surprised right now because this is in King's Landing. And Samwell is there as well with his buddy Dolorous Ed. And Samwell is screaming at Dolorous Ed, telling him, hurry up because they gotta go. And then all of a sudden, a whole bunch of House Stark sigils pop up in the crowd. They don't want to see their lord being killed, so there starts a riot basically starts up. And then Jon appears because, his buddies are there as well. Jon is there, calls out for his dad. Let's have Jon stab the executioner. Ed was like fighting the executioner, but then Jon stabs him. And then from there, Sansa, who is currently being captive with Cersei, we have to connect it to Jon somehow. So Sansa can scream out Jon's name, even though younger Sansa didn't really like younger Jon, but that's okay. And then we can have Tormund randomly pop up. Let's have Tormund take Sansa because they have to be connected somehow since they're next to each other. And number 8 will be the Hound. So at this moment in time, the Hound is still with Joffrey. So let's just have the Hound surprise attack Joffrey. And he kills the king, and that's the end. That's a fitting ending. How it connects here, Tormund grabs Sansa, who's probably next to Joffrey or really close by. So let's have Tormund right next to the let's have Tormund give a signal to the Hound, and then the Hound does it. So let's recap this story. It's kind of convoluted just a little bit, but let's see if I can get it right away. Littlefinger gets his throat slit by Arya, and then Brienne nods in appreciation and approval. And Ghost goes up to Brienne and wants to be pet. Bran is out staring at them. Bran has a vision all of a sudden and sees his dad about to get his head chopped off. Then Dolorous Ed swoops in, blocks the axe from hitting I think it was a sword actually. Well, blocks the sword, and then Samwell Tarly calls out and says, man, we gotta hurry up. And then a whole bunch of Stark sigils pop up. Jon stabs the executioner. Sansa yells out for Jon, and then Tormund grabs Sansa, and then the Hound stabs Joffrey. Okay. Let's go ahead and try to do this now. This has to be in the bottom, so we have to make sure we stack them up like this. Now this should be significantly easier than remembering, all 52 cards, but let's see if I could do it pretty much right away after recapping the story once. I'll have to say the number as well, but Peter Baelish, Littlefinger gets his throat cut, so number 9. And I don't have to say spades since all of them are going to be spades, so for now, actually I probably should, just to sort of reinforce that habit. So 9 of spades. I'll put it under. No, that's not right. I put it over, yeah. So 9 of spades. Littlefinger gets his throat slit by Arya, which is Jack of spades. Brienne, 10 of spades, nods in approval. Ghost, Ace of spades, goes up to Brienne and wants to be pet. Bran is looking from a distance, 6 of spades. And then he has a vision of his dad, 4 of spades, almost having his throat cut. His head chopped off, And then Dolorous Ed, the final Lord Commander, blocks it. We have Samuel Tarly. Oh, I forgot to say the number. 3 of spades, but you know, association. And then Samuel Tarly, 7 of spades, yells out, tells Ed we gotta hurry up. All of a sudden, a bunch of Stark sigils, 5 of spades, pop up. And then John stabs the executioner from the back. That would be King of spades. And then Sansa yells out for John, Queen of spades. Tormund grabs Sansa, 2 of spades. And then the Hound stabs Joffrey in the back. And that would be 8 of spades. There you go. Not too difficult to do 13. I honestly think, I probably could have just memorized the numbers at that point, since it's not too many. But you know what? Let's go ahead and test that. Let's test out whether or not I could just memorize the numbers like quickly. I mean, it's 13 cards. I just have to remember the order of 13 numbers essentially. So this is a new one. Let's just look at it actually. So 5, King, Queen, 9, 10. 5, King, Queen, 9, 10, 4, 7, 3, 6, Ace, 2, 8, Jack. You know what? This is harder than I would have thought. Let's go ahead and group them into 5s. So 5, King, Queen, 9, 10. 5, King, Queen, 9, 10. 4, 7, 3, 6, Ace. 2, 8, Jack. 2, 8, Jack. 5, King, Queen, 9, 10. 4, 7, 3, 6, Ace. 2, 8, Jack. 5, King, Queen, 8. Okay, 9, 10. 4, 7, 3, Ace. Well, I'm not giving myself as much time as I would if I made up an entire story, so I'm pretty sure in the same time that I could make up a story, I could probably remember, you know, the order of this pile, but I guarantee that it would probably be short-term memory, and I'd have to keep repeating it in my head in order to actually remember it, let's say from a day from now. So if I wanted to remember, you know, the previous one a day from now, you know what? It's shuffled. Let's see if I can reorder it. So I know the story. I don't have to tell it to you guys once more. Although I would not mind, since, you know, I made it up, and to me it's a passable story to use as memory. There you go. Probably like from this day on, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is right, hopefully. But probably from this day on, I'll be able to remember this order of cards, like as long as I can remember the story. And it's a rather simple story to remember with only 13 sort of actions in it. But yeah, I could just recall this sequence no problem now. Like, I guess that's part of the memory technique. That's part of one of the benefits, that even though it takes longer for you to get a hang of this, it's better for the long term, basically. Like, not that this is useful whatsoever in remembering this order of cards, but let's say you were playing something and cards kept flying by. You can make the story as it goes, and then if you remember the story, you basically know every single card that's been played, and that's basically counting cards right there. So first practice, I think it went pretty well. Okay, let's move on to part 3 of the experiment. We're gonna memorize 52 cards in a random order. And I'm gonna use this deck instead of this one since I've been practicing with it and my shuffling is not that great. So there might be some in the same order I practiced and we don't want that. So we'll go ahead and shuffle this one, quite a lot. And from here, we're gonna do a set of 4 13 cards each. I said earlier that I would do 5, but I changed my mind just because when I practiced the first suit, which was spades, Stark, I did 13 cards, and I feel like 13 cards is manageable in one story. So let's go ahead and try this out. So we'll do it in this order, right here. And this is top, so we'll pass it out like this. So this one will be here, this one will be here. And let's go ahead and just do 13 first. So we don't necessarily need all the cards to be laid out yet. It's probably gonna get real messy once I do that. From the moment I see the cards, I'll go ahead and start timing. So that's right now, I'm seeing the cards. And they're almost all red. But that's not abnormal, I think. Okay, I'll go ahead and show the order of these cards as well, just so there's a reference point. Okay. Let's go ahead and create a story now. So 9 of diamonds. That is Qyburn, Jamie. So this one's easy, right? Let's have Qyburn putting in a golden hand for Jamie. And also, we're supposed to make these stories as wild and memorable as possible, so doing crazy things is probably better. But for Game of Thrones, I think it's easy to remember things that actually happened in the show as well, since you have visual memory of that. So Qyburn grabs, let's make it very detailed. Qyburn grabs a golden hand from a table. He goes up to Jamie, who's sitting on a chair. This is happening in King's Landing. And he slots in his golden hand. The 7 of hearts. 7 of hearts would be Daario. Okay, here's where it gets interesting, right? Because Daario and Jamie have never ever met in the show. So let's have Daario. Let's say there's a window. I actually don't really remember how the windows are constructed in Game of Thrones, but let's just go ahead and go with glass. And Daario crashes in the window into the room with Qyburn and Jamie. And he has a sword. He crashes into the window and looks at Jamie. And we have Tywin right here. Okay, we're gonna have Daario. He's gonna attack Jamie. And then we'll have Tywin be the one to stop it. So Tywin has a sword and he blocks Daario. 4 of diamonds. That would be Tommen. Oh snap. See, whenever I think of Tommen, I think of when he fell out the window. So this is gonna be weird, but let's have Tywin right after he blocks the sword. Let's have him accidentally stumble backwards. He's gonna push Tommen, and then Tommen is going to fall out of a window. It's quite unfortunate, but this is necessary to remember. So Tommen falls out of the window. And then we have Stannis. Tommen falls out of the window. You know, he's going to be acting as an intentional fall. You know, he willingly fell, and he's about to attack Stannis, who's at the bottom of the Red Keep, who's invading. So Tommen falls and then tackles Stannis to the ground. Tommen's still alive. Stannis is on the ground now, and then we have Three of Hearts, which is Grey Worm. Grey Worm is with Daenerys' camp. So Daario swooped in earlier. So let's have Grey Worm be leading a force of Unsullied to attack Stannis' army. So Stannis is like walking to the Red Keep, but then when like Tommen falls and tackles Stannis, and Stannis is down, and then all of a sudden you see Grey Worm walking in with a whole bunch of Unsullied. And then we got Four of Clovers. Shireen, oh man. Let's have a Burning Shireen. Let's have a Burning Shireen tackle Grey Worm. I know this is very unlikely to have ever happened, but a Burning Shireen tackles Grey Worm because Grey Worm's about to attack Stannis. Two of Diamonds. Okay, Two of Diamonds is a crossbow. Let's say when Shireen tackles... Well, let's see what the next one is, actually. Eight of Clovers is my man Jaqen. This is a good one. Okay, after Shireen tackles Grey Worm down to the ground, we're gonna see a crossbow on the floor next to like the area that these two are at. Jaqen's gonna pick up the crossbow, and then he's gonna shoot Viserys. Yep, so Jaqen's gonna shoot a pot of gold, heated gold, and then it's gonna fall onto Viserys' head. Because actually, that's how I remember Viserys. That's like the most memorable thing about him. And then... This is only 12 cards. And then we have Drogon. Awesome. We're gonna need one more. And then we have Drogon coming by. We have Drogon coming by. and he okay, who's this king? This is King Joffrey. Let's just end it with Drogon roasting King Joffrey. Sounds like a fair ending. Okay. Whew. Took me about 8 minutes and 30 seconds to come up with the story, which was super long. This is not something I'm used to, so I have to be able to... I'll try to go faster with these ones, otherwise this whole thing is going to be over 30 minutes. But, you know, if it's over 30 minutes, then it's over 30 minutes, so let's do this. Okay, one more time. Let's see if I can remember it from memory right now, actually. I literally just made it up, but I think this would be good practice. Okay, Qyburn, 9 of diamonds, goes grabs a golden hand and puts it in Jaime's missing hand. So that would be 7 of diamonds. And then Daario swoops in a window. Daario is 7 of hearts. And then tries to attack Jaime, but Tywin comes to the rescue. Jack of diamonds. And then when Tywin blocks, he accidentally stumbles backwards, hits Tommen, 4 of diamonds. And then Tommen dives down the window to tackle down Stannis, king of clubs. And with Stannis tackled down, we see Grey Worm approaching, 3 of hearts. And then a burning Shireen, 4 of clubs, comes in, tackling down Grey Worm. And then we see... I believe it was a crossbow from there. I think we need to connect these two a little bit better. So let's say that the crossbow was literally right under where these two were. So right after Shireen tackled down Grey Worm, the crossbow is literally right next to their heads. 2 of diamonds. And then Jaqen picks it up, 8 of clubs. And then Jaqen shoots the crossbow at a golden pot and it burns Viserys' head, 6 of hearts. And then Viserys... Siri always goes on when I say his name. Oh yeah, and then Drogon, Ace of Hearts, burns Joffrey, King of Diamonds. Okay, that's the first story. And it took me 11 minutes. No, it was about 8 something minutes. So it took me about 3 minutes to recite that. Yeah, so let's be done with this story and move on. Let's just do this quickly. Okay, next story. Let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Three of diamonds. Iron Throne. Okay, great, because Joffrey was right there, so and there's an easy way to connect it. We'll just have Drogon like burn Joffrey, who's sitting on the Iron Throne. And then from there, we got the Stark Sigil. Okay. It seems that we're gonna connect it because of the Iron Throne thing, so might as well just have the Stark army approaching King's Landing. So we see a whole bunch of Stark soldiers marching, and then Robert Baratheon. Okay. Robert Baratheon is marching with the army with Sansa. So once we see the army, we're gonna zoom in on Robert Baratheon, and then Robert Baratheon's gonna kind of make them interact more. So I don't know why, but let's just have Sansa being carried by Robert, like on his back. Let's just say this is Kid Sansa. And then Tyrion. We'll just have Tyrion riding alongside of Robert and Sansa. This is not very memorable right now, but let's just see how this goes. And then Davos. Davos is for Stannis. So let's have Davos alone, and he's gonna be on a horse. They're all gonna be on horses. These three will be on horses. Davos is gonna stop the army. We have Khal Drogo. Okay, so Davos stops the army. Like, these three are facing him basically. And then Khal Drogo comes swooping in and attacks Davos. And this is the Hand Queen. Khal Drogo attacks Davos. Let's just say when Khal Drogo attacks Davos, he knocks Davos off of his horse, and then behind Davos, we see Selyse, who is unfortunately dead. 9 of Clovers. Okay, 9 of Clovers was Marjorie. Man, this is getting difficult. It's because I'm not being creative enough. I have to have them do things that they wouldn't do. Okay, so what Marjorie's gonna do, she's gonna pop up from the ground, and she's gonna pick up the rope from Selyse, and she's gonna drag her out of that fight. And then we got the Hound. The Hound is gonna swoop in, pick up Marjorie to save her. And then we got Jorah. Jorah's gonna be with Khal Drogo, so has to connect to the Hound somehow, though. So Jorah's gonna throw a spear at the Hound. I'm trying to think, because there's like a following action versus a do it to before. I feel like it's difficult to no, it makes sense. So Jorah throws a spear at the Hound, and let's just say it hits his shoulder. Sorry, Hound. I really like you, but I have to do this memory thing. 5 of clovers is the storm. Awesome. So right after Jorah throws that spear and hits the Hound, a storm is gonna appear right amongst this whole battle sequence. And great. I don't like Cersei, but let's just have Cersei floating atop the storm. I'm imagining more like a tornado. So let's just have Cersei floating atop this storm. So this one was a bit convoluted. Let's see. Iron Throne. We see the Iron Throne. Then we look outside. We see a whole bunch of Stark sigils. And then we see Robert Baratheon riding with Sansa in her back, and then Tyrion. And then we have Davos, who stops them, and then Khal Drogo attacks Davos. And then we see, right after Khal Drogo knocks Davos off of his horse, we see Selyse. And then Marjorie grabs the rope and drags Selyse. The Hound goes to pick up Marjorie, but then a spear is thrown at him by Jorah. And then all of a sudden, after the spear hits, a storm happens, and Cersei's on top of that storm. Okay, let's just continue. I'm not going to do any sort of memorization, or I'm not gonna recite it back with the numbers right now. I'm gonna just have to depend on the story, and then depend on my association. That one took longer. No, that one took shorter, actually. Okay. Seven of Spades. Let's try to break away from that story. Seven of Spades is Samwell Tarly. Let's go ahead and put them up in the north. 5 of Diamonds is the Lannister sigil. So Sam is going to pick up a book with the Lannister sigil on it and the Targaryen sigil. So let's have him hold both books. He first sees the Lannister one, moves the book, and then he sees the Targaryen one. And then Bran, awesome. Bran wheelchairs in and says hi to Sam. What are you doing? And then all of a sudden, the house goes on fire, and there's a screaming witch. Six of Diamonds. Shay. Okay. The house goes on fire. There's a screaming witch. And she's kind of crazy. So when we hear her voice, we move to her. And then we see that she's attacking Shay. And then Tormund comes in to save her. So Tormund pushes aside, or Tormund grabs Shay. And then Arya is there with Tormund. Or how about this? It wasn't Tormund, it was Arya. Like, Tormund grabs Shay, and then Shay's thanking him, but then he removes his face, and he's actually Arya. And then Jon is surprised and says, I thought you were Tormund, but, she was actually Arya. Then we have Missandei. Okay, let's just say Jon then sees Missandei and then stabs Missandei because he's very confused about who's who and Missandei shouldn't be there. I mean, at that point, let's just say Jon doesn't know who that is. And then a burning stag comes out of the room. So right after Jon stabs Missandei, he sees a burning stag coming out of the room where, it was on fire. Then we have 3 of clovers. This one's Renly. Okay, we're gonna have Renly riding on top of the burning stag. And then finally we have Varys. I mean, not Varys, Littlefinger. And we'll just have Littlefinger looking at this whole thing from like a corner and being very confused. Okay, one more time. We got Samwell Tarly looking at a Lannister book and then flips it to a Targaryen book, looks up, sees Bran, Bran says hi, and all of a sudden we hear a burning witch, and then the burning witch is attacking Shay, but we got Tormund who drags Shay out of there, but then removes his face and now it's Arya. Then Jon is like, what the heck, what's going on? And then he sees Missandei and then stabs her, and then from there a burning stag comes out of the room with Renly on top, and Littlefinger is like, what the heck is going on? All right. Nope, that's the wrong way. I'm gonna make sure it's in order. I think we did this one faster. As a first try, this is sort of what I expected, to be honest. I expected this to be around 30 minutes, but this is actually longer than 30 minutes. It's probably going to be longer than 30 minutes. I can only record for 1 more minute, so I'm going to have to make a cut, unfortunately. So let's stop it here. Okay, so we're back. I didn't do any extra practicing. Hopefully you can tell by the time. I think you can see the time. Whatever. Okay. 3 of spades. 3 of spades is Ed, the Lord Commander. Okay, let's just make it a continuation. So we're basically doing 2 stories, but whatever. So Littlefinger is like, what the heck is going on? We're gonna have the final Lord Commander come in and ask Littlefinger what the heck is going on. Then all of a sudden, Bronn who's 10 of hearts, Sir Barristan. Bronn and Sir Barristan, huh? Alright, Bronn is gonna knock on the window. Let's just say Littlefinger was sitting next to a corner with a window, and then Dolorous Ed comes in and asks him what's going on, and he says he doesn't know. And then Bronn knocks on a window. He managed to climb up whatever place they're at. And we're going to have Sir Barristan jump out of a helicopter with his sword and then try to attack Bronn. But Brienne saves Bronn's life by opening the window and then blocking Sir Barristan's attack. And let's have Ghost swoop in and you know what? This is going to be weird, but Brienne, let's have Brienne open her mouth, and then Ghost is just going to like be summoned through her mouth to attack Barristan. And well, that's not the only thing coming out. Shadow Stannis is coming out to also attack. He's riding on Ghost, let's just say that. And Varys, let's take this outside. So Varys is going to be standing there seeing a Sir Barristan falling, being attacked by a Shadow Stannis riding on Ghost. And then he's going to be very confused. We'll have the Mountain. We'll have the Mountain step up behind Varys. Sorry, Varys. And let's just have the Mountain kill Varys. And then we see a lion. The Mountain is going to summon the lion from his mouth. The lion's going to come out. Let's see. And a Ned Stark is going to be riding the lion. Daenerys is going to be on the helicopter. So let's say the lion was summoned into the air with Ned Stark, and it's like flying up to the helicopter where Daenerys is. And Seven of Clovers is Gendry. Okay, let's just say Gendry pops up from behind and pushes Daenerys, because, you know, Gendry is loyal to Ned Stark. And then Six of Clubs is Ramsay. But Ramsay will have the last laugh, I guess. Ramsay's gonna push Gendry out of the helicopter as well. All right, so that one's probably the most convoluted of them all. It sort of went in this spiral of being super convoluted, but let's go ahead and do this story. So we have Dolorous Ed asking Littlefinger what the heck is going on. Then we have Bronn knocking on the window. We have a Sir Barristan coming from a helicopter about to attack Bronn, but then we have Brienne blocking it, and Brienne summons Ghost from her mouth with Shadow Stannis riding Ghost, and Then we have Varys looking at this entire thing, being like, what the heck is going on? And the mountain attacks Varys and then summons a lion with Ned Stark riding on it. And it's facing the helicopter where Daenerys is in. Gendry pushes Daenerys out. But then Ramsay shows up and pushes Gendry out and has the last laugh. All right. Moment of truth. Let's see if I have this entire thing memorized. It's been 33 minutes already. Okay, let's see. The first story, remembering basically two stories. The first one was in King's Landing. We have Qyburn with the goat in hand. So Qyburn is 9 of diamonds. Putting on Jaime, 7 of diamonds. And then Jaime is attacked by, well, Daario breaks in a window and he is 7 of hearts. Tywin blocks it, Jack of diamonds. And then Tywin stumbles and 4 diamonds, Mr. Tommen. Tommen falls out the window. He's headed towards Stannis, King of Clubs. Tackles Stannis down, and then all of a sudden Grey Worm pops up, 3 of hearts, with an army. But then he's tackled down by Shireen, 4 of clubs, a burning Shireen, and next to them is a crossbow, 2 of diamonds. And then Jaqen, 8 of clubs, picks it up. He shoots a pot, 6 of hearts, and burns Viserys. And burns Viserys. Uh-oh, there's a disconnect here. I'm pretty sure Drogon pops up. So, Ace of Hearts. And then burns Joffrey, King of Diamonds, who's sitting on the Iron Throne, 3 of diamonds. And then we cut to a scene, or we move to a scene where we are seeing an army with Robert Baratheon at its head. Oh crap, Stark Sigil. Yeah, we gotta pay more attention to the sigils. This one was almost forgotten. I'll go ahead and count that one just because I pictured the army. I just needed them to be flashing the signal real hard. You know what? The story's gonna have a giant flag now with the Stark banner on it. But Robert Baratheon is at its head. He is 10 of clubs, with Sansa being carried in its back, Queen of Spades. Tyrion is marching beside them, or on a horse beside them. Tyrion is Jack of Hearts. And Davos, Jack of Clubs, stops them. Then we have Khal Drogo, King of Hearts, come in to attack Davos, knocks him over, and then we see the Hanged Queen, Queen of Clubs. Marjorie Tyrell, 9 of clubs, grabs the rope, drags her. The Hound comes in, 8 of spades, and comes in to rescue her. Then we see a spear being thrown at the Hound by Jorah, 8 of hearts. And a storm appears out of nowhere, 5 of clubs. And then Cersei is on top of that storm, Queen of Diamonds. And then Cersei, well, this ends that scene. So that would be 26 cards. Now we start off with, I believe, Samwell Tarly, who is 7 of spades. And he's reading a book or he has a book in front of him with the Lannister sigil, 5 of diamonds. He turns it over, and then now it's this Targaryen, 5 of hearts. And then we have Bran saying hi, 6 of spades. All of a sudden, there's fire. The Burning Witch, 4 of hearts, is screaming and attacking Shae, 6 of diamonds. And Shae then is rescued by Tormund, 2 of spades. And Tormund reveals himself to actually be Arya, Jack of spades. And then Jon is very surprised, King of spades. And then all of a sudden gets surprised by Missandei, 2 of hearts, stabs her. Then we see a burning stag coming out, Ace of clubs. And we have Renly riding it, 3 of clubs. Then we see Littlefinger. He's very confused, 9 of spades. Dolorous Edd goes to him, 3 of spades, and says, what the heck is going on? Then we have Bronn knocking on the window right outside. That is 8 of diamonds. And we have a Sir Barristan coming out of a helicopter, 10 of hearts, attacking Bronn, but Brienne saves his butt. That would be 10 of spades. And then summons Ghost, Ace of spades, with a Shadow Stannis, 2 of clubs, riding on him. And then we have Varys at the bottom, witnessing all of this. He is 9 of hearts. Then the Mountain attacks him. The Mountain is 10 of diamonds. And then the Mountain summons a Lion, Ace of diamonds, with Ned Stark, 4 of spades, riding on the Lion, and they are heading up to Daenerys, who's on the helicopter at the moment, Queen of Hearts, who is then pushed out by Gendry. Gendry is 7 of clubs. And then 6 of clubs. Ramsay gets the last laugh and pushes Gendry out of the helicopter. Boom. That is 52 cards. The sequence memorized by a story. It took a total of right about 41 minutes to achieve all of that, which is absurdly long. So, well, one thing is I have to actually narrate it. And that takes more time than if I were to just think all of it. And I'm also like thinking of a story that, you know, I'm thinking of the story out loud, and I'm taking time to create the story as well and trying to make it somewhat interesting. So that also takes like power that I wouldn't necessarily do if I were to just apply this without being recorded and stuff. But this was actually pretty fun. It's fun to just imagine something silly like this happening with the Game of Thrones characters. It's like creating an improvised story that is complete nonsense. And I probably will remember this deck, this order of cards for maybe a couple days. As long as I remember the story, basically, I'll remember the sequence of cards, even though it holds like no real meaning. And 41 minutes, that is a crazy long time to do this. I would not like that. There's almost like no reason to do this other than, you know, just experimenting and seeing, other than making a video like this, basically. And basically what this video proves, or at least just going through it once, is that one, it's not something you can use if you just practice it once. This will require, I've literally only done this for like 2 days. So in 2 days, I can memorize a deck of cards given about 40 minutes, the sequence of a deck of cards. The interesting thing is, I want to know if it's possible to just memorize the sequence of cards in 40 minutes, like through another method that doesn't require like a story, like just somehow memorizing like 52 numbers in a row. That would be with the suits, of course. So that would be, I don't want to try that because that's like, that would take up way too much time, and that's not the point of this video. But one point of the video is to figure out how difficult this whole thing is. And well, it's pretty difficult. Like, it requires a lot of brain power, and the association part is one of the harder ones. But I've noticed that while practicing part 3, the association is actually getting stronger. Like, I know Qyburn's on top, and I know that Qyburn is 9 of diamonds. And then I know who ends the story, Ramsey, who is 6 of clubs. So, and I know Cersei is 26. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. I believe this is Cersei, which is Queen of Diamonds. Yep. So it's like, as long as I remember the story, I remember the sequence, and I can probably pick out like any card in here and know who it is. That's the cool thing about it, but it's not like really useful for anything really. It's just for fun. But I'm gonna try this just one more time with after practicing it once. I want to see if I can get this 41 minutes to be closer to 20 minutes, maybe half it. That might not be practical, but I'm gonna try doing something where I don't tell the story to the camera. Actually, I'll probably tell the story to the camera, but I won't be focused on thinking about the video. I'll be focused on actually getting it done as fast as possible. But this was pretty fun. I think the number one thing I missed was the Stark banner. I should have made a connection to this more. If there was one mistake I made, it was this one. But I'm gonna give myself a pass because at the very least I imagined the army. I just didn't remember to say 5 of spades. So let's go ahead and try this one more time after a, let's say, 10-minute break, so I give my mind some rest. It's gonna be out of order now. Okay, round 2 of experiment part 3. Now we're gonna shuffle the cards again, and we're gonna create, you know, I said 4 stories, but I ended up doing 2. Honestly, I think it's possible to just do one entire story as well, but let's say 2 or 4. I haven't decided. Let's see what the cards decide on. Let's shuffle a little bit better since I haven't shuffled it too much since the last one. Okay, hopefully it's shuffled enough, and we don't see too much repeats. You know what? I'll go ahead and play a game of Speed 2 real quick. Let's just do it real quick. This should mix it up quite a lot. I really gotta practice my Speed 2 game more. I'm really slow. Dang it. Okay. Hopefully that brought enough randomization. Let's go ahead and start this thing. I'm gonna do it this way this time. So 8 of diamonds. That would be Braun. We're starting off with Braun. Let's just have Braun and Arya, huh? We're gonna have Braun shoot a crossbow at Arya, but Arya catches the bolt. And then she's gonna throw the bolt at Renly. And let's just have Renly not catch anything. Let's just have Renly straight up die. So Renly's gonna die. He's gonna get hit in the head. And then we have Viserys. Let's have Viserys right next to Renly. He sees that, he's very surprised. Okay, Burning Witch. And then the Burning Witch is gonna start screaming. She's gonna be on fire, and she's gonna tackle down Viserys. And he is going to start melting, because that's what he does. And 9 of Hearts is Varys. Let's have Varys try to help. Varys is going to try to get the Burning Lady off of Viserys, and Varys is also going to catch on fire. Then we got Ramsay. Ramsay is going to... Let's say Varys completely burns. Ramsay's going to take Varys and then tie him. Oh, let's just say he's still burning. Ramsay's going to tackle Varys down and then start tying him into one of those Ramsay cross thingies. The Bolton sigil. Then we're going to have Grey Worm. Grey Worm's going to stab Ramsay in the back with his spear. And then Jorah is going to cut off Ramsay's head. I don't like Ramsay, so it sounds good to me. Jorah's going to cut off Ramsay's head, and then Stannis also doesn't like Ramsay. So I think what Stannis is going to do is nod in approval, take Ramsay's... Man, I don't know why this is so violent. I'm sorry, but let's just have Stannis take Ramsay's head and throw it across the field. Actually, no, that's a bad idea because Ramsay was way back here. And Jorah was the one... No, that's fine. Jorah was the one who cut off his head, so... Stannis can throw it, chuck it, and... 10 of diamonds is the mountain. Okay, let's just have Stannis chuck it at the mountain. And then Daenerys is... Daenerys never does this, but let's just have her do it. Daenerys is going... The mountain is distracted by the head. So then Daenerys jumps up and stabs the mountain. How many cards is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, I lost 5, 12. Okay, one more. And I'm imagining all of this on a field right now. So the Iron Throne doesn't really make much sense. So let's have Daenerys stab the mountain. And then after the mountain falls, Daenerys is going to use the mountain's body as a springboard and then launch her way all the way to the Iron Throne. So she's going to literally bounce on him and fly all the way to the Iron Throne. Let's sequence it like this now. Let's review that one more time, just so we get it in our heads. Okay, who are we starting with? Bronn. Bronn shoots a crossbow at Arya. Arya catches it, and then Arya throws it at 3 clubs. At Renly, right. I gotta remember that Arya throws it at Renly. Arya throws it at Renly. Renly dies. And then Viserys. What does Viserys do with Renly? Viserys, let's just say Viserys kicks Renly. I have to make a connection there somehow. Like he's happy about it and then gets tackled by the Burning Witch, and then the Burning Witch will and then Varys will try to get the Burning Witch off of him, and then he starts burning, and then Ramsay takes him, ties him up. Oh, this one's gonna be hard. I'm struggling remembering this one. Ramsay ties him up, and what happens next? Grey Worm stabs Ramsay through the heart. Jorah cuts his head off. Stannis throws it. Hits the mountain. Daenerys stabs the mountain, uses him as a springboard, gets all the way to the Iron Throne. I hope I remember that. That one's tough to remember for some reason. Okay. Springboards all the way to the Iron Throne. There she meets Shadow Stannis sitting on it. And a lion is next to Shadow Stannis. Shadow Stannis and a lion. And let's have Samwell Tarly sitting on top of the lion. And then Khal Drogo. Khal Drogo kicks Samwell off the lion. He's holding the Targaryen banner. Holding the Targaryen banner. Then let's have Jaqen swoop in and with a torch and torch the banner on fire.
And then Jaqen, right after it goes on fire, creates a storm inside the Red Keep. And then the Hound will appear from the storm. Who's this? The Hound and Robert Baratheon both appear from the storm. Robert Baratheon will hold House Stark's sigil. And then Sir Barristan will chop the sigil. It's a lot of like chopping of sigils. That's fine. Sir Barristan will chop the sigil. He's holding a crossbow. And it shoots at Shae. Let's have Shae die. That is our second set. I'm going to see if it's possible to just not review it and move on. Queen Cersei. Dolorous Edd. Let's have Queen Cersei standing next to the Iron Throne. Now let's have Queen Cersei visiting Winterfell. Dolorous Edd pops out of nowhere, attacks her. Sansa is like, yes. Sansa's very happy about it. Or you know what? Let's have Sansa, you know, put her hand on the sword as well, just because, you know, she wants to take Cersei out. Tyrion is there. He's very sad about it. He removes Sansa's hand, asks why, and then Daario what do I want Daario to do? Daario will grab Tyrion and then fight with Tormund, clash swords with Tormund. And Tormund will be knocked over by a burning stag. And Marjorie will be riding on top of that burning stag. Two of Hearts. Missandei. And then Missandei uses the Force to push the stag, and the burning stag, and Marjorie away. Let's just have Missandei floating. And 4 of diamonds. Tommen is going to come out of the sky and tackle Missandei. And then Drogon swoops down, and Tommen is now riding Drogon. Nine of Diamonds is Qyburn. Qyburn is going to try to shoot down Drogon with his bolts. And he's going to have a Lannister banner right behind. He's going to hold up a Lannister banner right afterwards. Let's say the shot is successful. Ghost attacks Littlefinger. Ghost attacks Littlefinger. Gendry holds Littlefinger down. 7 of Diamonds. And then Jaime kicks Gendry because he doesn't like the sight. And Davos attacks Jaime because he wants to protect Gendry. Then we have Tywin, who attacks Davos because he wants to protect Jaime. Then we have Brienne, who is very conflicted because she's sort of on both sides. Let's just have her scream and say stop, and everyone stops. And then she says, King Jon is here. And Jon will step in. And then Jon will say that he revived Selyse. So Davos doesn't have to be mad anymore. And six. And then Bran. All of this was just an imagination by Bran. So Selyse all of a sudden collapses, and then we see that Bran is the one who was manipulating her. He was warging her. Let's just go with that. For Shireen. And then poor Shireen is shaking Bran, saying, why did you do that? Joffrey is there. Joffrey, let's just have Joffrey laughing at Shireen. And then Ned Stark chops Joffrey's head off. Sounds good. Yeah. Okay, so about 19 minutes to come up with the entire story. That is a long time. That is a long time for 52 cards. Honestly, saying the story once, I have no idea if I remember it fully. In fact, these two, I probably don't remember it fully. And maybe this. So I'll have to go over the story maybe once more before I actually am able to recall it from memory. So let's just see how much longer that takes. I'm going to reset the camera. Okay, so I made the stories, but I have to recall them. So let's go ahead and start with Bronn shooting his crossbow at Arya, who catches it, who throws it at Renly, and Renly dies. And then Viserys is there laughing, and the Burning Lady attacks The burning lady comes in, starts burning them. Varys tries to get him off. And then Ramsay comes in to take... Okay, Ramsay comes in to tie him up, but, you know, that ain't right, so Grey Worm steps in, spears him, and then Grey Worm steps in to spear him. Jorah cuts his head off. Stannis throws his head at the mountain, who Daenerys kills, and then uses as a springboard to get to the Iron Throne, who Joffrey is sitting on. No, that's wrong. That's the previous one. Okay. Get to the Iron Throne, who Shadow Stannis is now sitting on. Shadow Stannis is sitting there, and there's also a lion there, and the lion is being sat on by... Was it Samwell? Yes. Samwell Tarly. Khal Drogo knocks him off, flashes the Targaryen banner. And then flashes the Targaryen banner. But then Jaqen comes in and burns it with a torch. And then all of a sudden a storm happens. And then who comes out of the storm? The Hound comes out of the storm with Robert Baratheon, who's carrying a Stark banner. Somebody rips up the Stark banner. Somebody attacks the Stark banner. Who attacks the Stark banner? Don't remember. Sir Barristan, huh? Sir Barristan attacks the Stark banner? That's very confusing. I don't think so. I think I gotta rewrite this one. So, the Hound, and then Robert Baratheon, and then we see a Stark sigil, and the one who's holding it up is Sir Barristan. Let's go with that. So 3 of them pop out. And then Sir Barristan also has a crossbow and shoots it at... Who the heck is the 6 of diamonds again? Shay. Ooh, okay. Shoots it at Shay. Got it. And then this one's a completely different story, I believe. We started at Winterfell. We have Cersei. Cersei being attacked by Ed, I believe. Cersei being attacked by Ed. Sansa's happy about it. Holding the sword. And then Tyrion's like, why? And Tyrion, who... Daario, was it? Daario picks up Tyrion. Daario picks up Tyrion, tells him we gotta go. Dang it, I don't remember what happens out of this. To Tormund. Daario picks up Tyrion and says we gotta go. All of a sudden, Tormund pops up and attacks Daario. This is a burning stag. a burning stag tackles Tormund, and on top of the burning stag is Marjorie, I believe. All of a sudden, the force is used on Marjorie by Missandei, and then a Tommen comes out of the air and knocks Marjorie away. Missandei away. They both land on Drogon, who is shot by Qyburn, and Qyburn is proudly holding the Lannister banner up. Okay, last one to refresh myself on, and then we'll go ahead and try this. Okay, where does this one start again? It starts with Ghost. Okay. Ghost attacks Littlefinger. And then we have Gendry holding him down. And then I believe Jaime, was it? Jaime attacks Gendry. Doesn't like the sight. But then Davos comes in to protect Gendry. And then Tywin comes in to protect Jaime. And then Brienne says stop. Everybody stops. King Jon is here. And then Jon says Selyse is still alive. And then Selyse faints and realizes, and everyone realizes it was Bran all along. And Bran... Little Shireen is like, why, Bran? And then King Joffrey's laughing. But Ned Stark chops his head off. Okay. I think we're ready. 27 minutes. I think we're ready. Let's do this. Alright, we got Bronn shooting a crossbow. 8 of diamonds. Arya catches it. Jack of spades. Throws it at Renly, 3 of clubs. Renly is dead now, and Viserys is laughing. 6 of hearts. Burning Lady, 4 of hearts. Tackles him. And Varys, 9 of hearts. Tries to get him off. He starts burning. Ramsay grabs Varys, 6 of clubs, and tries to tie him up, but 3 of hearts Grey Worm stabs him through the heart. 8 of hearts Jorah takes his head. Stannis picks up his head. King of clubs throws it at the mountain, 10 of diamonds, who then is stabbed by Queen Daenerys. And Daenerys springboards to the Iron Throne, who Shadow Stannis is currently sitting on. Shadow Stannis is 2 of clubs. And 2 of clubs. Lion, Ace of diamonds, is there with Samwell, 7 of spades on top. Khal Drogo kicks Samwell, King of Hearts, and then holds up the Targaryen banner, 5 of hearts, and then holds up the Targaryen banner, and then Jaqen, 8 of clubs, comes in, burns it, From there, 5 of clubs, Storm comes in, and out of the Storm comes the Hound, 8 of spades, and then Robert Baratheon, 10 of clubs, and then his man Sir Barristan, 10 of hearts. Oh shoot. It's always this sigil. It's screwing me over. So we see the sigil first. So that's 5 of spades, and then Sir Barristan is holding it. That's 10 of hearts. And then he's holding a crossbow as well, 2 of diamonds. And man, that really messed me up. Okay, so the camera turned off on me, but I managed to get about 34 minutes for the entire thing. I made 3 mistakes. One was the Stark banner once again. After that, I made a mistake with Shae for the end of story 2, and then, or it was sort of the same story, so story 1. And then I made a mistake mixing up Tormund and Daario in the final story. So I gained about 6 minutes of time from my original try, my first try, and the sacrifice was creating less interesting stories, as well as not being able to remember the order of 3 cards out of the 52. Of course, 30 minutes is still a very long time. What I think is really holding me back is the lack of instantaneous association, because without that I can't immediately see a card and then think like, okay, 8 of diamonds, I know this is Bronn, but that took me like 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds. I need to be able to like instantaneously think Bronn once I see the card, and that is something that takes a lot of practice. That's something that will take weeks versus just 2 days, 2 or 3 days. If you actually want to successfully get good at this memory technique without spending 30 minutes to memorize 52 cards, which is a crap load of time, I basically spent an hour and 20 minutes now just trying to memorize 2 different sets of 52 randomized cards. And, you know, most people would rather spend their time doing something else, but this is part of the experiment, so I am spending that time. And I think that time will shorten, like get cut in half if you practice just the association part first. Although practicing the story part is important, I think that practicing strong endings in the story, where you know for sure, okay, this is the end of the story, let's move on to the next story in the sequence, that's one thing. And another thing, I feel like the character cards can be used in a different way. I feel like you can have, like, if you have these 2, right? King Jon and Selyse. I did it where King Jon appeared with Selyse. I think I need to do that, more of that, versus like each character doing an action, which takes a long time. I think they need to be maybe paired up or even tripled up, like in the Storm, where we had where is it? It was next to the Stark banner. Oh, right here. Where we had these 3 pop in. So that would be the Hound, and then Robert Baratheon, the Stark sigil, and then Sir Barristan. Like those 3, it was super easy to remember them popping up because it's like they're coming out of a fire tornado. So it's really memorable and easy. But it's like 3 characters that didn't really do much, but they were just paired together. That's how I remembered them, and they sort of make sense together because, you know, King, Robert, the Hound, Sir Barristan, they're all sort of like initially in the first season like part of this group. And I think the sigil is a weak point in the assignments. I think if I were to restart the assignments completely over again, I would make the sigils. The storm is so easy to remember. The storm is one of my favorites. Like every time that happens, I just know it happened. The sigils are like, they're harder to remember for some reason. So I'm thinking of changing this one to snow. So Stark represents snow, so it starts snowing. And then, this is ridiculous, but Lannister, right? Right now it's like a storm, it's snow. For this one, I'm honestly thinking that it's just gonna start raining gold bars, because Lannisters, you sort of associate Lannisters with gold, and that's kind of a ridiculous thing to see. So, and then for this one, for Targaryens, it's fire and blood, right? So let's have it start raining fire. Now, when you think of a storm, you can have water in it as well, some lightning, but I mainly think of a tornado. For this one, I'll just have like fire coming out of the sky. That's very memorable. And honestly, I think having more event cards would be very helpful. If I were to completely take one out, maybe I would take out either... 10 is actually surprisingly easy to remember because it's the strongest characters. 9 is a little less memorable, so maybe taking out 9. 8 is relatively easy to remember. 7 is also relatively easy. 6 as well. Yeah, I think there needs to be more association in terms of like what actually happens in the story. Like for instance, each card cannot just be a card. It has to be the person doing something. I mean, like each card can't just be the character. It has to be the character doing something. So for Ned Stark, I'd always imagine him like at his death. So it has to do something with death. And then for Qyburn, it's so easy because you always just put him with a scorpion. So there's just a lot of things that could have been better at the very beginning. If I'm probably gonna try this one more time, and I'm gonna make these into storm, snow, fire, and raining gold bars, just because I think it'll be much easier to remember those ones. And then the other tip was putting the characters together. So instead of just having the characters always doing something, they can just like sort of have one bigger event, and then all of a sudden we see a bunch of different characters pop up. The order might be a bit difficult, but I think as long as you have a clear mind movie in your head, it shouldn't be that hard. I think that'll help a lot. Those are the 2 tips that I have discovered simply through experience. Yeah. Simply by trying it out.
Let's start with blacks and let's do spades. Sansa, Tormund, Littlefinger, Brienne, Arya, Eddard Stark, Ed, the Hound, Bran, Jon, Sigil of House Stark, Samwell Tarly, Ghost. Then we move on to the next black set, clubs. Selyse, Marjorie, Melisandre, Ramsay, Stannis, Storm, Gendry, Davos, Renly, Shireen, Shadow Stannis, Burning Stag, Jaqen H'ghar. Then we mix these two. Okay, let's do this. Shireen, Renly, Gendry, Brienne, Storm, Stannis, Ramsay, Melisandre, Marjorie, Bran, Littlefinger, the Hound, Ed, Tormund, Sansa, Eddard Stark, Arya, Hanged Queen, Jon, Ghost, Jaqen H'ghar, Samwell Tarly, Sigil of House Stark, Burning Stag, Davos, and Shadow Stannis. That one still needs a little bit more work, so I will practice that, and then I will move on to doing just hearts, and then just diamonds, and then combining them. Okay, so the next step for association practice is to name all 52 cards while there's a timer going on, and what I'll do is I'm gonna put the bad cards that take longer for me to name on the right, and then put the better cards on the left right here. And from there, I'll practice using only the set that took me longer to name until that set becomes pretty much 0. So let's go ahead and show you guys how I'll do that. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. Sigil of House Lannister, Khal Drogo, Tyrion, Daenerys. I did not shuffle well. The Hound, Bronn. Anything that is less than 5 seconds, I'll go ahead and consider a good one. Renly, Stannis, Cersei, Qyburn, Ned Stark, Shireen, Viserys, the Mountain, not you, Siri, Sigil of House Stark, Joffrey, looks like I'm having trouble with characters I hate. Ramsay, Daario, Selyse, Missandei, House Targaryen Sigil. Oh man. Burning Stag, Shae, Tommen, Jorah, Davos, Ser Barristan, Varys, Sansa, Iron Throne, Marjorie, Littlefinger, Drogon, Crossbow, Storm, Jon, Tormund, Grey Worm, Brienne, Gendry,
Shadow Stannis, Robert Baratheon, Jaime, Jaqen H'ghar, Arya, Bran, Ghost, Tywin, Ed, Burning Witch, Lion, and Samwell Tarly. Okay, so that took a bit longer than I would have expected. There's only 52 cards in a deck, so ideally this should be under, well, if you multiply 5 by 50, you get 250, and then divide that by 60, that's about 4 minutes. So that's like, this is not a bad time. So the average is under 5 seconds in terms of association, but still it's not good. I think if the average is below 2 seconds, that would be the most ideal, so less than 2 minutes. And that will be what I am aiming for. Let's go ahead and just practice this now. The timer is not very useful in this case. Unless I count the amount of cards, but it's about 20, looks like. So let's go ahead and try it anyways. Let's shuffle this a little bit. Shadow Stannis, Davos, Jaime, Robert Baratheon. I gotta remember not to like show 2 cards at once, because I think that actually distracts me. Surprisingly, like, it distracts me quite a lot. Ed, Bran, Jaqen, Ned, Gendry, Grey Worm, Sir Barristan, Burning Stag, Burning Witch, Selyse, Ramsay, Viserys, Jorah, Shay. Let's try these now. So about 20 cards and 1 minute and 40 seconds. So 1 minute, 40 seconds divided, that's about 100 seconds divided by 220 divided by 20. So 100 divided by 20 would be 5. So that was about 5 seconds for each card, I guess. I mean, that could drastically change if that wasn't 20 cards and that was a random estimate. So let's try this one more time. This is exactly 9 cards. Let's do this. I'm already stuck in the first one. Ed. It's so hard to remember Ed for some reason. Shay. Viserys, Robert Baratheon, Bran, Jaqen, Ramsay, Gendry, Ned. Okay, 9 cards. That was about 5 seconds each. Pretty bad. Let's go ahead and try these now. Let's actually look at them real quick and sort of like get the hang of associating the card with the character. So this 6 right here, I gotta just keep thinking, I hate you, Bran, I hate you, Bran, I hate you, Bran, I hate you, Bran. That's what I should be thinking when I see this card. I should see Bran's really dull face. Seven of Clovers, Gendry. I usually remember Gendry running, but maybe that's not the association I should be making. Maybe I should be thinking about how he got so lucky being named Lord of Storm's End, even though, you know, nobody knows him. That doesn't have much visual memory. I'm just going to imagine him running beyond the north. Seven of Clubs, Gendry. 7 of Clubs, Gendry. Gendry. 8 of Clubs, Jaqen. This one's a tough one because it's one of the deviants. It's not one of the ones that, because Jaqen's obviously not a Baratheon or like in the house, associated with the house. I just gotta remember 8 means like favorite characters, and then when I see Clovers, I just have to think about Jaqen. Maybe Clovers as in like 3 kills. You can see that there's 3 things right here. Okay. And then 3 of Spades, which is Ed. I mean, I should be able to remember Ed pretty easily. He is one of my favorite characters. I just got to think 3 of Spades, Ed. Got to make that association. And then 6 of Clovers, Ramsay. This one's another deviant. Just have to remember. There's so many things that I can remember Ramsay doing. I just have to choose one. I think I'll choose Jon punching him a lot. I do remember watching a clip of that being looped. It's a very long clip. Okay. There are 5 cards in here. Hopefully, I can just instantaneously name them. This actually takes a lot of brain power. Surprisingly, this requires almost complete focus to actually get to a fast point in naming this. It takes a lot of focus to actually create the association and be able to name it like super fast. One of the few things that actually require like total concentration. All right, let's do this. Gendry, Ed, Jaqen, Ramsay, Bran, Well, that took longer than expected, but at least it was below 5 seconds, so my average is below 5 seconds. I think I got stuck on Jackin. But okay, let's try the entire thing again. And let's see if I can get it under 2 minutes this time. If I can get it under 2 minutes, then I will consider that good enough. I know it's not completely instantaneous, which doesn't help my cause for the next experiment, but I get the feeling that it's going to require more practice, more long-term practice for me to get complete instantaneous association. So and I need to get this video uploaded, so let's do this. I swear I'm gonna get stuck on one card, and that's gonna eat up all my time. Let's do this. Joffrey, Sigil of House Stark, Grey Worm, Viserys, Shay, Khal Drogo, Robert Baratheon, Tormund, Burning Witch, Burning Stag, Littlefinger, Ned Stark, Davos, Shadow Stannis, House Lannister Sigil, Bran, Samwell, Lion, Tywin, Drogon, Ser Barristan, Sigil of House Targaryen, Jon, Storm, Arya, Jorah, Selyse, Crossbow, Daenerys, Tyrion, Shireen, Qyburn, Ramsay, Jaqen, Ed, Ghost, Gendry, Brienne, Dario, Stannis, Renly, Bronn, Jaime, Sansa, the Mountain, Varys, Tommen, the Hound, Cersei, Missandei, Marjorie, Iron Throne. Yeah, that was way longer than, that was like basically the first time. So the whole process didn't even really help that much, I guess. I got stuck on a few cards, and I think those are the ones that ate up most of the time. Also, the fact that this is actually really tiring, mentally tiring to do continuously. I've been doing this for about like 20 minutes, so I should probably try to take a break and then try it one more time. I don't think I'm going to achieve below 2 minutes. That, at least not for this video. I think eventually I can, but 2 minutes would be like 2 seconds per card, and if I were to get stuck on one card for more than 5 seconds, I'm already like done. So 2 minutes would be close to instantaneous recognition. 3 minutes, I'll try for under 3 minutes, and that will be good enough for the experiment. But I do want to try one more, even though I'm a little tired and it's past 20 minutes. I'm going to try just dumping the cards that I don't instantaneously name aside. So I'll be skipping them basically and seeing how fast I can do it like that. Then I'll take a break and then try this one more time. Davos, Tyrion, Daenerys, Crossbow, Selyse, Jorah, Arya, Stannis, Daario, Grey Worm, Sigil of House Stark, Brienne, Gendry, Sansa, Jon, Targaryen, Ghost, Tywin, Lion, Sigil of House Lannister, Shadow Stannis, The Mountain, Ned Stark, Burning Stag, Burning Witch, Tormund, Robert Baratheon, Khal Drogo, Viserys, Cersei. Oh gosh, the Hound, Tommen, Ghost, Jaqen, Ramsay, Qyburn, Marjorie, Missandei, Joffrey, Storm, Iron Throne, Shae, Littlefinger, Varys, Bran, Samwell, Sir Barristan, Renly, Bronn, Jaime, Ed, and finally, Shireen. Boom. Okay, with skipping, I'm able to get it under 3 minutes. So 52 cards, 3 minutes. Let's go 60 times 3, 180. 180 divided by 50. It's about like 3.25 something. Let's go ahead and do the math. 180 divided by 52. 3.46. So 3.46 seconds as an average of recognizing the cards. That's gonna have to be good enough for now. Actually, wait. I did it in 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Let's go ahead and see. 175 divided by 52. So more like 3.4 seconds each card. Not bad. It's below 5 seconds, which is what I said I wanted. Obviously, I still haven't attained instantaneous recall or instantaneous association with every single card, but that's gonna have to be good enough for the next experiment. Obviously, this won't be as usable if I wanted to, say, look at a deck of cards and memorize it as fast as I could, like memorize the order as fast as I could. I probably couldn't do that very effectively without having instantaneous recognition. So if I wanted to actually, further this experiment, then I'd have to achieve under 2 minutes, I feel.